Conor McGregor is set to appear in one of the last 2 seasons of Game of Thrones. Jason, Rubin, we cannot wait for this. You love Game of Thrones. I love Conor McGregor. So combined, we're both happy, I think, on each end of the scale.
Well, so you're gonna watch
because Conor McGregor.
It's not just because of that. Because what you're gonna realize years from now is you're gonna be flipping through. You're gonna be like, man, I've watched everything on Netflix. I've watched it all, every single piece of programming. And you're gonna go, but then you're gonna go to HBO and you're like, I just watched The Sopranos, and you're gonna be 80 years old, and you're gonna be like, fine, I'm gonna watch Game of Thrones.
Hopefully, if you're still around, both of us.
I remember when your father was watching Game of Thrones.
Oh, he loves it,
and he was obsessed.
It's not because I don't like it. I just like it. Just seems it's time consuming.
It's not just time consuming.
Very busy time.
It's a lot. It's a lot to have on your mind at all times. Like I just finished Westworld.
Yeah, and you're screaming at me every morning. Have you watched Westworld yet? Have you watched Westworld yet?
Well. Have you?
No, I haven't. This is the same thing I had with you with Narcos.
It's like the SpongeBob episode. Are you gonna run? Have you finished those errands?
But the thing is, Jason, I'm not replacing any of these potential shows with like girls like you watched on Netflix. Well, instead of what was that girl show you were watching instead of watching Narcos season 2?
The OC?
No, it was called The Girls or something on that line. You remember?
Mean Girls.
No, Mean Girls is a fine.
I don't know. My dad watches The Housewives.
The Mean Girls is good. It will come to me what you were watching. It will come to you.
Out.
But either way,
go through my Netflix.
Let's go to
SpongeBob, Family Guy, Narcos, Family Guy, Girls.
Let's go to the quote. It's been agreed that McGregor will appear in one of the remaining 2 seasons of Game of Thrones. A source told Belfast Live he was headhunted, as it were, by HBO. As one of the Game of Thrones directors is a huge UFC fan, they believe that he would be a perfect fit for the show.
This is why I want to be a Game of Thrones director, because then you comes with a certain level of clout, right? And with that clout, you could be like, I'm a huge UFC fan. I'm just going to cast Demetrius Johnson in my show. And then maybe I can get free tickets to go see Demetrius Johnson. Then I could become friends with or Conor McGregor or John Jones. Well, maybe not John Jones, but or Daniel Cormier. Like, think about what it could lead to. You can be like, I'm the director of Game of Thrones. I found out David Beckham loves Game of Thrones. David Beckham, you want to be king in Game of Thrones?
Don't tease me with that. I think it becomes not just with the director of Game of Thrones. I think when you're in that sphere and you're respected, like, you can literally just have your hand in anything. Like, I was on Twitter yesterday. Do you know the Australian comedian Jim Jeffries?
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Jim Jeffries.
All he did was he just tweeted out, you know what, I want to be in a rom-com. And then someone else tweeted and included Seth Rogen, and Seth Rogen's like, all right, let's make it happen. So then he got connected to Seth. I don't know if they were friends before, and I don't know how Seth Rogen's known for his rom-coms.
This is going to be a tangent-filled clip, because Jim Jeffries has an amazing bit about gun laws in the United States.
Oh, absolutely. Where he's in Australia.
Where he talks about, he says, and I'm going to butcher this, but I'll leave the link somewhere in the description below. I guess it's not safe for work. Regardless, his whole point being, your argument for why you should have guns being, don't take our fucking guns, is a really bad argument.
No doubt.
Like, you got to think of something a little bit better than that.
Yeah, because he talked about how there was one mass shooting in Australia, and you were like, yeah, we're fucking done.
Basically, the Australian government came to us and said, we're going to take all your guns, and he went, that's fair.
Yeah, exactly. He's a very good comedian.
But he always drinks like a big... Oh, no, that's Ricky Gervais has the Fosters with him.
Oh, yeah, Ricky Gervais loves his beer. But if you're wondering if Conor McGregor is equipped for this, of course he is. Very charismatic, great on camera, but he's also had a run-in with one of the cast members, a former cast member from Game of Thrones, when he faced off against the Mountain.
Oh, spry. He's just spry. That's the thing.
It's exactly how I would face off against the Mountain. I'd hit and I'd run. That's the only thing you can do.
How are you kidding? I just pledge my allegiance and pray he doesn't crush my skull with his hand.
I did see that scene, even though I didn't watch Game of Thrones, where he poked the guy's eyes through the back of his head.
Yeah. Spoilers.
Yeah. Oh, come on! It's like 8 seasons ago!
I thought you don't watch Game of Thrones.
Corey had to pull his head out, his headset out, because I screamed at his ear.
Well,
I seen that, but this is like what happened on election night. It had been like 4 months
Who won?
after a Walking Dead death, and I mentioned it in a tweet, and someone like, Francis, spoilers. Fuck off. It's been so long.
That's like the wonderful part about working at the Young Turks is you come in on Monday and there's like 7 shows that all happen on Sunday night and you're like,
people just walk around like this.
Right, they're like, no, you can't talk about that. And then you go to the kitchen and they're talking about a different show. And you're like, no, you can't talk about that either.
Just sit in your safe space.
No, it's a safe space. You know what? You want your safe space? Go hang out and punch the mountain in the abs.
Yeah. But Jason, we've talked about this before. This isn't so rare. Like, as we know, there's a lot of combat in Game of Thrones. They happen to shoot in and around Conor McGregor's neck of the woods.
Well, they do. They shoot on location. That's why it looks so beautiful. They shoot on location. Croatia is where they have King's Landing.
Croatia's
which
beautiful.
is awesome. It's really cool. In Norway, Sweden, Scotland, they shoot in these places. Ireland, they shoot literally in his neck of the woods at times. So if they're going to be there and they're big UFC fans, my big feeling about this is it's not going to look like Conor McGregor.
Yeah.
I don't think people are going to be like, I mean, you might get a taste or a recognizable quality of him, but like, I don't think this is. Maybe Conor McGregor is a main role. My bigger feeling is that he's going to be those who watch like part of the Wildlings. Maybe gives like a 20-second speech at some point because you want to obviously utilize his ability to control a microphone.
If you think that you're going to tune in, you're going to see him walk into the middle of a battle with a millionaire strut like this. I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think, as you mentioned,
would be great.
It would be great. And maybe they'll do it as like a blooper, and they'll throw it out there to get the
Do you
trend.
think Nate Diaz wants to be in Game of Thrones now?
I don't know if he's ready for it. I don't know if he can accuse everyone in that generation of being on steroids.
It'd be great to be one of the, and I don't mean
They're
this,
all on
I don't mean this,
steroids.
I don't mean this offensively, but I was gonna say it would be great if it was just him like smoking a giant pipe in like one of the bars, like, and they're like, what did that guy just say?
But I think they have to be careful, of course. Like, Game of Thrones is a phenomenal show. It has got
How
a
would you know that if
mass
you didn't watch?
audience. Well, I just know it. That's how good of a show it is, because I haven't watched it and I know this. So I don't think they're going to
saying.
toy with their how prestigious they are by looking into bringing Conor McGregor as a joke more than anything and bringing him in to be like the Conor McGregor we know and love in the UFC. They're going to give him a serious role. They're going to see if he's got acting chops, which he'll have to work on, I'm sure. Not so much, because he's not going to have to change his accent either. He can play an Irish.
It'd be great if they just keep like 3 frames and it's just him getting like just shot with an arrow and be like, oh, there's Conor.
Imagine he came in and then just got destroyed.
My leg.
He came in and just got killed straight away.
Just the.
That was my representation of what this election was. You have to have one or the other. Trying to choose. All right, hit us in the comment section below. It's been a very tangent-filled episode, but let us know what you think. Conor McGregor in Game of Thrones. Can you see it coming? Well, you should, because it's happening. Jason Rubin 91, Francis _Maxwell. Bye-bye.